Ooh, hello, y'all, and welcome to the first uh, projects with staff. Sorry, I'm new to this, so forgive me there. Uh, but welcome, y'all, and this first episode is what I'll call it, but it's gonna be an ongoing stream. So, firstly, I'd like to walk you through um, how my company develops projects. It's different in that we develop using what we call realms projects, and a realms project is meant to be anything that runs on multiple different uh, multiple different project types. So, research projects, programming, and pretty much anything else you can think of. And our goal is to make it where a project doesn't just start and then stop. It continues to evolve as time goes on by providing um, many different things. Um, right now, we use about half of what's planned, but that's because it's waiting on other things to happen. Um, but, anyways, first thing we do is we have a users that register with the company. A user ID can be follow either. So user ID for the company, as you can see, is the entity, which says that the company, it's a company, not a person. Um, and then the company user ID piece, which is a short code with no spaces added that is meant to identify users directly. So this shows you the company, and then mine would be and then so companies use the E, which entity, and then users use a U, and that's a user ID. And then the company uses a bunch of different categories, which is what all of these are. Um, each one is meant to help organize all of our projects, so these aren't everything. And categories can have subcategories or be subcategories, and it's so for this project, which is our Realms C# tool core library, is our user or the company user ID, then it's, where is it? Down. Okay. So this is a little more complicated than it would be for most, but it's because as the company grows, we plan to also have projects in C and other languages. So that's why there's the division of C# as a language. And then we get into versioning. Oh, hold on. Never mind. Yeah, you get into the versioning. We have a different setup for versioning than most, because we also have a code to tell us if it's debug, public, testing. That way we can separate out different things. And this isn't everything yet, because we also have early public, and it's waiting for me to go through every other projects, because I'm trying to rebuild everything after a hard drive failure. So yeah, that is covers up to this. I'll get into the project versioning after a bit, but so how we manage to keep projects so flexible, or projects easier to manage, is we break things down into a couple different levels. You have projects, then projects are made up of systems that can work independently or interact with each other, and systems are broken into features. Features contain data, logic, which is what we call, or the company calls, functions. At least when it comes to C#. It can be any sort of data or collection of concepts, things like that, but it's meant to allow you to build projects up and have things that work together, but keep everything small little chunks, so everything's a bit more easier to manage. As you can see, this is a wide range of things, but a lot of what we aim for is research and development, so we could break into a lot of things like advanced arithmetic properties. The changes is a part of project versioning. It's not complete yet. I'm building it up as I'm working, so it's, because as you see here, I've got the project, then I've got over here, there's versioning for the project, which is in what will be our own custom language, which we call Realm. realms typed data definitions. It's basically Johnson, JSON, whatever, however anybody else wants to put it. But it basically takes from C# certain concepts that build on top of the normal data that we are working on building into the tool core, which will allow us to read and write data more efficiently. It's not more efficient, we build our own systems because a lot of our core concepts are not built the same as a lot of, like, the entire system library, basically. Instead of having all these different systems being static classes that you link together, we use live registerable systems, which allows us to dynamically build our projects. So we have the tool core, then there will be a testing library for providing our users with tests and things like that. Tests which we are basically, as we're building, showing that a given library works, making sure its functions work, speed tests, things like that. It will basically allows us to make sure it runs as smooth as possible. And for some things you may wonder why we choose some things, like for systems, instead of registering by type, we register by an ID. And the reason for that is, as the library builds, we plan on a way for certain systems to allow themselves to be basically overrode by a mod or other given hold on, my brain's just had a fart. Or other I don't remember. Anyways, we'll move on. I don't remember what I was talking. But yeah, then we're gonna build into the tests, or not the testing, the tool core. There will also be a lot more systems by the time we're done, because we plan on building the UI system a little bit different, and then basically we'll have our own independent definitions of given layouts, objects, like text boxes, things like that. And then we will build UI libraries that can be swapped out depending on what's needed. And then it'll allow us to hold on, brain fart again. Okay. So, systems can be overridden, that way you can introduce mods and stuff. A lot of our data is built specifically because at runtime, things will always not be the same. Um, a lot of systems we're adding are designed around basically the tool core will have extensions that can be loaded into it, which build upon its functionality. So basically, the only thing separating, say, a project management toolkit from a game will be the specific extensions that are loaded into said tool core. There we go. So a lot of parts will be quite complicated on our side because data will not always be the same. So what we plan is to allow some certain types of objects. It's not built in here yet. Hi, you mucus. Sorry, I'm stumbling across my words there, mucus. I'm new to streaming, so but anyways, I plan on building certain objects that, depending on the extensions that are loaded into the tool core, certain data can change dynamically depending on what's loaded. So and because it'll basically function like a mod data when using Lua. But yeah, and then we do track, as I was pointing out earlier, we use systems. And then when you create a new system, we have documentation, and right now it's all hand done, but that's what this project, not that project, that one's to test the tool core. This one will be a actual development toolkit, which will be used to speed up the development because it'll automate a lot of what I have to do myself. Sorry for that noise. Let's close that for now. Okay, and then several, and then there's the changes, which are version-based change logs. Systems. This isn't all documented yet. I'm still in the process of documenting things, getting some things pieced together. But I know where I'm going, and I love coding, so for me it's relaxing. When other do I code in Python? I I don't, but I do have knowledge of coding in it, if that makes sense. I also have a book over here that goes over Python programming. I haven't touched it, but I do know pretty much the basics of Python. Uh, if I really needed to, I could do it. Sorry it took so long to... is that you asking why? I'm not sure what W means, friend. Oh, that makes more sense. Thank you. Sorry about that. Like I said, I'm not used to text speech. Even when I type, I usually go all out and type out the entire sentence. I don't shorten things. I think the most I'll shorten is AFK and BRB. Coffee. Okay, so like this shows. So I was explaining earlier, a project ID. So this is the entire ID for the tool core. As I said, it's got the user ID at the front, and then you've got... most of this is actually used to categorize, which will come in handy in a later project. Now, we have a system ID. Yeah, most people would be like, just put it up here. It's more of because we want them separate, so the project ID points directly to the project. This ID is less about being able to find it within this project, because you would usually always see this together, and this should actually be CS. That way it's the C# version. But this is to show that it is a system within this given library that will be used for documentation, all that fun stuff. Each system has a versioning. That way we can keep track of as things progress. A lot of more versioning details. That way we can know when it was added to the project as a concept, when it actually got implemented in a fashion or another, and then the last version of the project that it was actually updated. Then it goes over the description of the basic system, and then it breaks it down into its separate features. Features, like I was saying earlier, are designed to store data, functionality, and features will allow us to further document while keeping things more organized and more focused. Because each feature is meant to work independently or together. So if you need one for classes that just work within this part, then it's that feature. But if you have another feature that interlaces, you would want to have another feature on top of that one. And again, it covers versioning, but in the case of features, it tracks the system versioning. So I added to the system as a concept, added to the system and functionality, and last system version that it was actually changed. And then we do a little bit more differently. Like I was showing at the beginning, we have a project node. This is used, well, not currently, because not all the features it is meant to use, but when it's finished, this will all be documented using attributes, or for us, we call them trackers. But like I said, since it's so young and I lost a hard drive not that long ago, I have to rebuild a lot of my projects from the ground up, because I have yet to find a place to see if I can have it restored. So the project node for each one of these will have its own project node. Its project node is mostly gonna keep track of this, the project ID information, and the project versioning information. And this is all used for documentation using, as I said, the attributes will be used along with the project development toolkit to more effectively help us identify the code that's, like when we add a new feature, all we really have to do is add the feature to the code. The project toolkit will read the code over the code, find the attributes, and then update its data so you can build the documentation, because the plan is the toolkit will load this data, but the toolkit will use what it reads from the code to find what's not documented to help you know what you need to document. And each system, each system has its own node. The system node keeps track of the system information, the feature IDs, and even its own versioning. I don't think I'm going to do the feature versioning, or if I do, won't be stored as constants like this, but instead will be stored just input directly into the attribute. That way I'm not bloating the class with 9 million 2 ints, because it would be 2 numbers per each feature, because you can't constant a structure for some reason. That makes no cotton picking sense. to me, but yeah. And I believe that would be it as for a basic rundown of projects as a whole. So, does anybody have any questions for me about this episode of um, and then so I wait to see if anybody's got any questions. The next episode we'll be going over and following as I work to update all of the documentation. Documentation. All of the current systems. Which are in here, and some will be added as I go. Yeah, I know, Mucus. I was asking if you had any questions about what I went on about, my friend. And for you, Mucus, yes, it'll be here in... Oh, you don't have to say sorry. No worries. I'll actually be putting my document, or these on YouTube, so if you don't have time, you can always watch them on YouTube. But anyways, the next one will be, like I said, going on of going over all these systems, and I will kind of be explaining how each one functions, although it may be split up into this is C#, Mucus. C# with .NET Core, which means mine can cross-platform. My end goal is to be making video games, but I'm building up the project development side first. That way I have a stronger foundation for when I add video or move to the gaming. But a lot of it is also like my quantum library is gonna be my coded quantum understanding of quantum physics. Testing is a library for providing testing framework for applications to make sure code works and see where possible downfalls are. My tool core is pretty much a dynamic foundation for programming. Um, it's kind of C sharp with its own you take on things. On what you game? No, I'm gonna build my own game engine around OpenGL. Uh, I tried Unity at one time, and I'll put it this way, I never want to touch it again. ZAM? What is ZAM? What is ZAM? I like I said, I like unique systems. Thousands of objects are great for managing game objects, but systems should not be an object you can retrieve that is attached to the game, if that makes sense. Well, never be afraid to ask me questions. I'm always up for questions. But, oh, I'm missing some. I'm missing some libraries. Oops. Hold on. Need to look in here. I'm honestly gonna probably end this episode, and then I might end up opening another stream just so I can get started on uploading to YouTube. And I'll send you my YouTube link on Discord, that way you can yeah, probably. Sounds good. Will do. Oh, this is the only coding video I have currently. But yeah, I do recommend rewatching this one from the beginning. It might help build a little more understanding because you came in a little late. Okie dokie. And to you and... No worries, Mucus. Now I'm just gonna go over my ending message for both stream and YouTube. So, until next time, that was a Realms project in a nutshell, and the first episode of many that will cover Realms projects, and I hope you guys will join me next time. Bye.